welcome back everyone for another episode of Chasing Ghosts. This is the video series where I talk about those hard to find, those impossible to find comics, those things you just don't see up on the wall every time you go into your shop on Wednesdays. You got to do some digging, do some legwork, get lucky in a lot of cases to find some of these books. They're just not that easy to find. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And for those of you who haven't tried Whatnot before, now's your chance. First-time users, use my link below. Get yourselves a free $15 to spend on whatever you want with whomever you want. No strings attached. You help out the channel. You get yourself something nice. You really got nothing to lose there. And if you're in the market to get yourself some more supplies, use my link and my code RENA10 to get yourself 10% off your BCW order, because you know you're going to need bags and boards, you're going to need boxes, you're going to need top loaders, etc. So why not save when you're doing it? So use my code, use the link, and go get yourself some supplies. And with that all said, if you want to see this week's collection of ghosts, or potential ghosts, I should say, just hang out for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, let's take a look at the selection of books I have for you this week. This week, we're going to go with some independent comics. These are not ratios, these are not incentives, these are not even variants. These are first print, first run, hard to find indies from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. I've got a selection from each decade to give you today, so let's just get right into it with our first book, brought to us by Blinky? Yeah, I think Blinky's the first one. All right, let's see what we got here. Well, from the 70s, our first selection is going to be American Splendor #1. This got a bit of interest brought to it when, you remember the Harvey Pekar movie came out? Well, Paul Giamatti starred in it. He actually, I think, got some Oscar buzz for the role. He didn't win or anything like that, but there was a lot of interest in that movie. But American Splendor #1 came out all the way back in 1976. So this book is actually older than me, and covered by Gary Dumm. And yeah, 52 pages. And this is something that's out there celebrating the big bicentennial issue. Now, I have no clue what the print run's going to be, so I'm not even going to bother try to venture a guess or try to go into any online resource guesses to give you that. But I will tell you, in the CGC census, there are only, let's see here. What do we got? Not a ton, 92. Considering it's almost 50 years old at this point, 92 isn't really that many to actually be submitted for grading for a book like this. There is only a single 9.8. Mind you, 16.96s, 21.94s, 16.92s, 9.2. It goes all the way down to 7.0s. I mean, this is an independent book that came out in the 70s, so it's not going to be something that was, bagged and boarded, well taken care of, etc. This would have been handed around, passed around probably amongst people who are just sharing and reading it for the love of the hobby. With that said, let's see what this thing sells for. We did have a few sales over the last couple of months. Here are just 3 examples of some of the sales. You can see it can go anywhere from as cheap as about $100 to like $200 raw, depending on condition. I mean, that one that got $215 is suggesting that it's a 9.4. Whether that's true or not, I mean, who knows? We're not all professional graders, but it looked pretty nice for the copy that it was. But $215 is what it moved for. But that's not what we're here to judge by. We're here to judge by what's available. And as you know by now, there's got to be one copy or none for us to call it a ghost. So let's see if there are any available of American Splendor #1 on the market right now. And the answer is yes. Yes, there are a few. Here are 3 examples. Again, raw, $200, $210, $215 for decent copies. And then we also have that CGC, what is that? CGC 9.0 is looking for $700. So a 9.0, again, you saw, it's one of the one of the higher grades that you can get for this book, and yeah, $700, not too bad. It is also, you can see it's wide. It's like magazine size format, so you can even see by the CGC case that this is not comic sized, so it is a little bit oversized. So for you to go and dig it and find it, you might be digging in milk crates and magazine boxes. But who knows? Who knows what you might find out there? But considering we do have a few available, it's not going to make the cut. Not going to make the cut, so we will move on, but this is still a good book to look out for. It's not like there's tons of them out there. Not to say this is easy to find. This is still hard to find. We just won't be calling this one a ghost today. So let's see what our next book is, brought to us by Pinky. And Pinky is bringing us Love and Rockets, #1. Not the Fantagraphics version, but the original black and white, first edition, first print, Love and Rockets, #1. Only $1. And this thing came out in the 80s, in 1981, from Gilbert and Jamie Hernandez. So we had the 70s. Here's our book from the 80s. And in the census, we have a whopping 119 copies. Probably the biggest number we've had in a while. But still, from 1981, it's not a lot. It's really not a lot. However, there are 45 9/8s and 34 9/6s, 18 9/4s, and then a bunch of others for this, basically like a newsprint type of book. But still, almost 120 copies is a decent number. With that said, that doesn't mean there's a ton of them out there. You're going to find this on the shelf anywhere. As it is, I only found a single sale over the last 3 months, and it was $500 raw. Black and white, again, before the Fantagraphics series. So this is the first, true first, etc. And as far as what's available, it almost made the cut. But we had two. We had two copies. There was a 9.0 that's asking $1,500, and then there's a green label 9.4 that's actually looking for a little over $1,000. 34 watchers on that one as well. So a lot of people are aware of this book. A lot of people looking at this book. But since there are two, granted, it's still very, very hard to find. But with two, it's not going to get the ghost this week. So the ghost is not going to win today. And yeah, Love and Rockets, still a good book, still a tough book to find, but doesn't make the cut for this week. So let's check out what Inky has for us. I think Inky's coming up next. I always forget all the ghosts' names in Pac-Man, and I'm just leaning into the Pac-Man theme here. So we got Inky here giving us something from the 90s. And in the 90s, we have Knights of the Dinner Table. Any of you know this series? This came out, what is this, 1994? Yes. Jolly Blackburn did the cover here, July of 1994. Not ready for syndication. Knights of the Dinner Table, long-running series. This series ran for a while, but this first issue has, let's see what we got in the census for it. All of 62 copies in the CGC census. Once again, that's lower than the last two. It's really not a lot, even from 94. There is, again, a single 9.8, 3 9/6s, 9 9/4s, 4 9/2s. The bulk of them are 9.0s and 8.5s with 13 and 10, and then these go all the way down to 5.0s. So people grade any copy they have of this book, as you can see, with the lowest grade being a 4.0. So it's almost like graded like a Silver Age book. Like any grade will do. Because, again, it's not an easy book to find. So much so that I couldn't even give you any recent sales for this book, as there have been none sold recently for this #1 first print edition. Just couldn't find any sales. And just like our last book, when I looked to see what's available, it almost evaded us. But there are still two copies out there. There's an 8.5 and an 8.0, both graded and both looking for $700. But since there are two, we might come up empty this week. We might not even have a ghost this week, the way things are going here. Again, I don't know for certain before I start researching and picking books. We'll probably have some weeks where we have no ghosts, but we have one book left. But these two came close. Love and Rockets, Knights of the Dinner Table, both came close to getting to be ghosts, but there were a pair available for each. So with our last shot at this, we are going to turn to our orange fella Clyde and see what he has for us. And going into the 2000s, we're going to go with a personal favorite of mine. I love this art. It is so finely detailed. It is so intricate. and just fascinating. If you ever run into him, he's at a ton of cons. He's always at Baltimore. Go check out Jeremy Bastian. But Cursed Pirate Girl. This is the first print, basically self-printed out of Comics Express, I think was the printing whatever the company that printed this for him. But this came out in 2006. Jeremy Bastian, Comic Express. Again, there have been reprints of this subsequently, but this very first print edition, they only printed 300 copies. They only made 300 of it. Again, Comic Express was the publisher at the time, and there are not a lot of these out there. In the census, I found only 3. There are only 3 graded copies of this particular book in there. There's a 9.6, a 9.4, and an 8.5, and that's it. Even finding raws, again, there's only 300 of them. That was the first run, self-published through Comic Express. So it is what it is. I did find a copy sold, though. We did find a copy sold, and it sold for a decent chunk of change. $1,000 signed by the artist, Jeremy Bastian. Again, he's at cons. He's out there. He's amongst the people. You can find him out there, so you can get your book signed if you want them signed. But 1 copy sold for $1,000 way back in July. This is almost going to fall off our 3-month window, but it was still there when I did my research. So 1 sold, and let's see what's available. We've only got 1. There is 1 out there. That CGC 9.6 first print, first Cursed Pirate Girl, $3,500 for that 9.6. This is the highest graded copy, and it's got 29 watchers. So again, there's a decent amount of people who are aware of this book and know about this book, looking at this book, watching this book. So there it is, $3,500. But since there is only 1, you know what that means. It's going to be a ghost. It's not going to be one that we're going to be able to find so easily. So with that, that's all I got for you this week. That was our 4th book, our 4th shot at it. We did have a ghost, and it's Cursed Pirate Girl #1. So let's take a look at our wrap-up. 4 options, 4 bites at the apple, but only one of them we could call a ghost this week because there was only 1 copy. Couple came close with a pair of copies each on Love and Rockets and on that Knights of the Dinner Table. But not to say that American Splendor is the easiest book to find either. That is also hard to find. But going off our criteria, with only 1 copy, Cursed Pirate Girl gets the nod this week as our ghost. So with that all said, that's all I got for you. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep this one short. Ghosts, I'm going to try to keep a nice short show that's like 15 minutes or less. Definitely under 20. And I think I did it under 15 today. So success as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully you're liking the shorter format. Let me know what you think in the comments down below so I can keep producing these for you. It's easier to do when the content is shorter. So with that, I will bid you adieu until next time. And thank you again for all the support. And I'll see you all soon with some more content. All right.